Hey, what's the deal, y'all? We are here with another reaction. So, I really just want to break down the PPP loan because I see it's about to start circulating in the news again. So, I kind of want to give you guys a real perspective of how it works and what it was for. And this is from a professional accountant, too. You can look at his page, you can go look his name up. He's certified. He's not giving advice, he's just reacting to whatever is being presented to him. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. Hey, but before we do that, like that link, comment, subscribe, hit that bell button, do the whole thing for me. But yeah, let's get into the video.
Giving you these stories of the PPP loan frauds. Listen, I love it. These stories are hilarious and they are a lesson in why not to be a criminal. But let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at this. Now, I've done so many of these videos. It's like coming back to a family reunion, right?
The video is
Getting
linked
back
below
to
in the
see
description.
old familiar faces you haven't seen in a while and cracking jokes, right? That's what we're going to be doing tonight because I'm telling you, this PPP loan story is not going away. We are going to have these stories pop up from time to time for the next probably 15 to 20 years.
Damn.
Now,
15?
let's take a look at this. For those of you who are unaware.
Hey, I'm sorry, y'all. 15 to 20 years. So that means you literally probably forgot about it. And then all of a sudden you get a notice like, yo, you living your best life. You might be up financially. And it hits you with this.
For those of you who maybe you weren't on LLC Twitter, maybe you weren't in, hustle, grind, scammer culture, social media, you're unfamiliar of exactly what the PPP loan was. I know you heard of a PPP loan, but maybe you're a little confused on exactly what a PPP loan was. So let's review this together just for a second. Let's review this together. Now,
okay.
The PPP loan was the Paycheck Protection Program. All right. This was a program that kicked in during the COVID-19 crisis. This was supposed to be an incentive for small businesses to keep people on payroll. All right.
Oh, okay.
This was
I'm
a
with you.
forgivable loan. They were given small businesses, people who applied for this loan. They were given a certain amount of money based on their application so that they can keep people on payroll during the shutdowns. And this was the government's way of trying to help people during a time of crisis. Good idea, bad execution, right? Bad execution. But we'll get into why it was bad execution in a moment. Let's take a look at this. Now, how much money could someone get if they applied for the PPP loan? Well, they based it on how much money you claimed you normally paid out for your employees, for your payroll. It was a simple formula. You take a look at how much money a month you normally spent on payroll. You multiplied it by 2.5. That's 2.5, right? 2.5. So whatever the normal amount that you pay for payroll, you would get 2.5 of that amount to pay your employees. And if you actually use the money for what you claimed you were going to use the money for, the government would forgive the loan. It's like a win-win. Everybody wins.
So you had to have a payroll. Keep in mind, you had to have a payroll. You couldn't just make up a payroll after the fact. Like, you had to have it.
The employees get money. The employer gets to save on actually paying out of their own pocket, their own employees. And the government gets to help people in a time of crisis in a way where they don't have to be on unemployment and all these other things. So, it looked like it was going to be a win-win for everybody. So the question that you should be asking is this: how were people able to apply for the PPP loan, right? How were they able to
Please break it down, please.
Right? If we're trying to stop fraud or try to make sure that the bad guys don't get the government's money, shouldn't there be some kind of process where they have to verify the loan information, right? That would make sense. Now, the federal government's idea was this: we'll have people submit their old payroll information. All right. Now, for those of you who do not own a business and you're a little confused of how companies report how much money they pay to their employees, I'll show you right now. Okay. This is how companies normally show the government and report to the government how much money they pay their employees, right? These are quarterly tax returns for payroll. That means every 3 months, a business who has W-2 employees, that business has to fill out this form and submit it to the federal government. And there's also 941s for state governments who also have income tax, right? 941, you'd fill this out. And this would also show how much money that you would have to pay. And they would use that, hey, okay, this is the information, we got it. Now, what if you do not have W-2 employees? What if you're a small business and you do not have W-2 employees, you're just employed yourself? How could you apply? Well, the federal government had an answer for that as well. The federal government said, hey, listen, this is what you can do. You can submit your annual tax return form, which is the Schedule C with your 1040. It shows how much revenue came in, it shows all your expenses, and it shows how much money you actually made at the end of the day. So people who had W-2 employees could fill out the 941 tax form, and people who have a small business but you don't have W-2 employees, you just have the money that you make off your business, you could submit this form right here, the 1040. Now, here's the issue.
That's what we want.
During COVID-19, things were crazy, right? Things were crazy. And most small businesses, while they're good at running their business, most of them are not good at paperwork. Trust me, coming from an actual financial advisor, I can tell you many of my small business clients, they are great at what they do, right? If they are a lawyer, if they are a barber, whatever they do, they're really good at the product or the service that they provide. They're not too good at paperwork. And the federal government understood this. So they really made it easy to submit these documents. And sometimes they even did it on the honor system, saying, hey, just give us the numbers and we'll verify the documents after. Okay? I know what you're thinking.
And that's where people took advantage.
Well, if the government made it really easy to submit documents to them to get approved for these loans, then there could be a whole lot of fraud. I mean, if people can do this, I mean, there's some really good scammers out there who know how to manipulate numbers on the screen and they can fill out forms. Absolutely, that is true.
True indeed.
Here's the thing that I want to focus on tonight. I'm well aware that with any program, there's going to be a certain level of fraud, right? There are professional scammers in this world who look out all the time for opportunities to scam. I got that. Here's the problem with the PPP loan stuff. Many people who committed PPP loan fraud, they were not professional scammers. Many of these people never had an interaction with the law enforcement departments where they live. These are honest people. People who never scammed before, all of a sudden, now they're doing PPP loan fraud. How could this be? Let's think about this for a second.
Click the video below. I show you somebody's arrest for unemployment fraud too as well. We react to that body cam.
How could normal, honest, non-criminal people who have lived their entire life, we're talking about people who are 35, 45, we've got some young kids out there, but some of these people 42, 36, 50 years old, they worked for the post office, they had good jobs. How did they get caught up in this web of lies and deceit and find themselves trying to scam the federal government? Where would they get the skills to do this if they've never done it before? Well, don't worry. I believe I have the answer, because there were many fake gurus online who are providing their skills of how to scam. And case in point, we have Batman Kevo. Now, Batman Kevo, as you can see, is a self-admitted scammer. Self-admitted scammer. And people like Batman Kevo, I believe, in my opinion, saw an opportunity to scale their ability and knowledge to scam. They have these large platforms. They're interviewed at the various podcasts and stuff like that. They have your ears and your eyes because they're all over the internet in our sector, right? And they were able to provide people who normally would not be scammers. They would normally not be in a situation where they're trying to defraud the federal government.
Sometimes you just don't know.
Teach how to do it. Now, many of you are saying, oh, come on, JT. Come on, JT. We know you hate the fake gurus. But for you to make the claim that some of these guys and girls were going online and not just teaching people how to scam the federal government, they were actually charging for the opportunity to learn how to scam the federal government.
I've been in the criminal defense, litigation, investigation arena for 13 years now. Your boy getting old with gray hairs and everything. Ish, I would charge somebody with if they committed PPP fraud, making a false statement to the Small Business Administration. You're looking at a $1 million fine and up to 30 years in prison, submitting a false statement to a federally insured financial institution. It imposes the exact same penalties, up to $1 million fine, 30 years imprisonment for submitting a false statement to a financial institution. An individual could face charges regardless of whether or not they are accused of submitting false information directly to the SBA. Because financial institutions are involved in the processing, it could be the exact same paperwork that will make you susceptible to getting both charges on your indictment. Now we're getting to the good stuff. One of the original OG white-collar crimes that's been on my desk forever. If you knowingly execute or attempt to execute a scheme to defraud a financial institution or to obtain monies under the custody or control of a financial institution, guess what you're looking at? Y'all can already know. What is the maximum penalty? Yeah, I got it. Y'all shot $1 million fine, 30 years.
30 years.
Next up on the list is an oldie but goodie. And I tell you, hey, prosecutors, federal investigators, we love wire and mail fraud because it has a unique extended statute of limitation period that allows us to kind of reach back and get conduct that would have normally been outside of the statute of limitations, but wire fraud gives us a little flexibility to stretch that statute of limitation out.
And that's the point with the PPP loans. It's a statute of limitation. People forget that. Like, this isn't just because, it's been 3 years, man, they ain't get a shit. It doesn't 4 years. It doesn't matter. We're still coming. Like, the statute of limitation could be 10, 15 years, 20 years. Y'all heard that? So it doesn't matter. Just because it's been 5 years, 6 years, I'm good. Then out of nowhere, you're like, what the fuck? Statute of limitation.
Use any fraudulent activity or conduct to finesse somebody out of money, to run a play, as the gurus like to say, to run a play, and you use the internet to do so. The federal bank that distributes the funds are located in New York. When you get those funds deposited to your bank, it goes from New York, from that financial institution, to your bank account. Hey, once it hits that router, that internet bandwidth is traveling through the internet. It's
wire fraud.
Most times the applications are electronic, so that's another way that you can have them on a hook. So you can be charged for wire fraud for filling out the application and submitting it, and you can be charged with wire fraud when those funds are transferred as well, depending on how the prosecutor want to charge. And you're looking at a maximum of up to 20 years in prison with a $500,000 fine. And I know, hey, the pocket watcher, JT, I know you'll appreciate this one. Tax evasion. Now, I'm actually going to read this specifically. This is really interesting. Claiming deductions for expenses paid with PPP loan funds can lead to federal tax evasion charges as well. Federal tax evasion carries with it a fine of up to $100,000 for individuals and up to 5 years in federal imprisonment. I hope that made sense to y'all, so y'all can wrap y'all mind around it, and y'all can tell all y'all friends who may be asking these questions or calling into JT saying, I have a friend who's in this situation. This is the stuff you could potentially look for on your indictment.
All right. So as you,
hey, there it is. That's the PPP explained. That's wire fraud explained. That's everything explained. I really don't got much to say after that. It's just statute of limitations. So anybody that's out there that think they getting away, sorry. Like, you better pray to God that your name wasn't on whatever. Secondly, it's wire fraud on top of that. Like, you lied to the federal government. Like, you lied about your employees. You lied about your income. You lied about everything. But if you were legit, then you're fine. You ain't got nothing to worry about. So, on that note, yeah, I'm out. I appreciate everybody that's subbing to the page, liking that like, commenting that comment. I will highlight y'all on the next reaction.